All right. Thanks again for being with me here on this sacred Sunday. Um, welcome everybody. Um, let's remember what this is all about. Today is Sunday. Traditionally, it's a day to really hone in and lean into the sacred and what that means to you. So, for me, I want this channel and this time together to simply be that. I'm not going to preach anything or pretend I know anything. It's more about a conversation with you all, a conversation with one another, just so we can hone in, just so we can lean in and just tune into one another and what the sacred means to us and what that can bring for us. I want to begin today with a poem. Poetry and the poets have an amazing skill, an amazing way of capturing the sacred and what that means. So, this is a poem by Mary Oliver. It's called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to love. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I'll tell you about mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscapes. Over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. Calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Again, announcing your place in the family of things. I love that. Mary Oliver, excuse me, Mary Oliver, for those of you who do not know who she is amazing. I believe she passed away recently. I could be wrong about that, but I think so. But she left books and books of incredible poetry to inspire us. So please check her out, Mary Oliver. Today, I want to talk about astrology. I want to use this time for us just to have a question and answer about anything astrological, what the astrological weather report is for September. You know, there's a lot going on. I can kick it off. There's a lot going on right now in retrograde. So we could talk about what retrograde means. Right now I got Emmanuel saying hello from Ojai. Hi, Emmanuel. Thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate you again taking the time out of your busy life and busy schedule to be here with me. Do you, my friend, have any questions to get us started about astrology and how that relates to your life or how that relates to the world around us? I'm drinking tea currently. I know originally I said coffee and astrology, but I moved to tea right now. It's probably best for everybody. So, currently, no questions, so I'm going to kick it off. Retrograde. That's kind of the big thing that's happened right now. Actually, on the 5th of September, Jupiter also goes retrograde, which means every single one of the outer planets is going to be in retrograde. Right now, there are 6 planets in retrograde: Venus, Mercury, Pluto, Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus are all in retrograde. Jupiter is going to join that team here very soon, but Venus is actually going to go direct tomorrow. So she's going to leave that team. But let's talk about what retrograde means. Okay, now we're getting into the duality of life. All right. So normally when planets are moving in their regular direction, it's called direct. Okay. And then when they have the illusion, it's actually an illusion of them going backwards, then that is what is known as retrograde. And the duality is like this. You know, there's right and left. There's day and night. There is, you know, Up, down, in breath, out breath. So direct and retrograde works in that. To me, I always explain it as when they're direct, it's the out breath. They're, these archetypes are expressing the energy outwards to be seen and made manifest. But now when they go retrograde, it's the in breath. It's moving inward and speaks to us more on a level of inside, interpersonal, even though the outer planets have mainly to do with us as a society, as a community. So what does it mean when those go retrograde? So let's talk about it for a second. All right, let's take Pluto. Pluto in retrograde. Pluto is our capacity to transform, to psychologically transform ourselves and evolve. That's what Pluto represents in the archetypes. So instead of that being outward, it is inward now. So we have an opportunity to look deep within ourselves and find the areas within our souls that have a capacity now to evolve, that have the capacity to psychologically transform. Now, it could be a little bit uncomfortable because what that means is that inner eye of Pluto is now looking in the heart, looking in the soul for areas that need to be addressed. Pluto can be intense. Pluto can be, it rules, it's in the darkness, it's in the depths of the psyche. Sometimes people don't want to go there, but that's actually how we evolve. When we, with bravery, can come in and can face the truth of ourselves, can face the things that we don't want to look at, then we transmute them. That's another key word of Pluto. It's transmutation. You can take the poisons and turn them into medicine. So there's an opportunity to do that with you right now. Same goes for Neptune. Now, Neptune is our capacity to dream, our capacity to vision, to step into an area of life that brings a higher octave of our emotions in a way. So Neptune is a little bit unclear. It's a little bit cloudy. It's not solid ground. It rules Pisces, for example. Pisces is a very spiritual sign. It's a very psychic sign. Pisces is very mutable in a way. They're very impressionable. That's the word I'm looking for. Because in a way they're sort of liminal. It's neither here nor there. And Neptune represents that. Neptune rules things that expand consciousness through like plant medicines, things like that. That's ruled by Neptune. Now, Neptune is now retrograde. So there's an opportunity to envision and dream inward. We're able to go into our psyche to really ask ourselves, what do we dream of? What are my dreams in life? What do I want to bring out into this world to make it manifest? But right now we don't have to worry about the manifestation. It's not about the actual manifestation right now. It's more in the visualization. It's more in the feeling. A big part of manifestation is actually the emotion and the feeling involved in it. And so Neptune retrograde gives us an opportunity to do that. Uranus retrograde. We're still in the outer planets here now. Uranus is our inner genius. It's our capacity to activate our higher mind, to activate the part of ourselves that is inspired, the part of ourselves that isn't afraid for change, but rather jumps into it and embraces it. Let's talk about that going internal though. What areas within yourself may you be afraid of in the sense of change, in the sense of activating the truth of who you are, that intellectual truth, even because it is said that Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, just as Neptune was the higher octave of Venus on an emotional level. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury on an intellectual level. Mercury also in retrograde right now. So the two of them, the two archetypal planets that represent our intellect are both inward right now. They're both moving internally, which freaks a lot of people out. A lot of people get freaked out by this because they're so used to outwardly expressing themselves, outwardly expressing their minds. But this is an opportunity to just take a moment and not do that, to take a moment and breathe it in. to take a moment and allow it to be here. Allow yourself to be here, to be patient with that. Focus it internally. I view these retrogrades like a serious, like retrograde moment like this is a time for being, not doing. I did a video on this recently that goes deeper into the concept of retrogrades and being, not doing. And in that, I talk about probably as a culture, we're obsessed with doing, especially in the American culture. I would say, it's constantly work, 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 do, and then we don't offer time to be with our families, to be with our loved ones, to be on the planet, admiring the beauty around us. Again, this is admiring the sacred. That's what this is all about. I feel like these retrogrades give us an opportunity to lean into the sacred even more, but we have to stop in the sense of our obsession with doing. It's not our faults. We've been taught this, but with awareness, we can make that happen. Mercury, speaking of Mercury in retrograde, again, that's the most famous of all retrogrades is Mercury in retrogrades. People come to a halt when they hear that. And of course, I have a different approach to it. I have a way different approach to the retrogrades because I do not feel like there's something to fear. I believe that they're part of the adventure. It's an adventure that brings inspiration, that brings magic. Oftentimes it's when the curveball of life comes our way, that's when there's an opportunity for magic to happen. I learned this personally through performing, actually doing music. When you're on stage, there are times, all right, the electricity goes out, for example. What are you going to do? What are you going to do in that moment? You have to adapt and you have to be willing to be open and allow the universe to speak, allow the magic to come through. So this is an opportunity for that. I feel like this moment of intense retrograde could be a very magical time, a time to evolve ourselves, a time to center ourselves, a time to love ourselves. And by doing so, we're that much more able to be present and to be in the world way more centered and way more together. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in the sense of retrogrades. I'd love to go further into that with some questions. So please help a brother out here and give me some questions here to work with. Let's see. All right. Freja, hello, welcome. Let's see. I'm going to put your question on here. Thank you for the support. Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here and to show up in this way. My chart is getting hit from so many different angles. I feel like I'm the loser in a boxing match. I'm so sorry to hear that. Building resilience, we'll call it. Okay, let's talk about that. If you can, give me a little more information about what areas of your chart are actually getting hit right now, and then I can do my best to, hopefully offer some ideas or some avenues to ease that, because we don't want to be feeling like we're in a boxing match. So in your questions out there, go ahead and give me some specifics. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We're gonna show up and we're gonna do this together. I know it's not always easy to like jump in there and like ask questions and stuff, but it'd be really great if you did. But I'll just keep going in my astrological weather report until that happens. Let's talk about Venus for a minute. Okay. So Venus has been retrograde for, I don't know the exact time, but it's definitely been a while now. It's been probably like a couple of months. Venus, inner planet, our capacity for love, our capacity for socializing. Venus rules Libra. Venus rules Taurus. It brings in ideas of harmony and beauty and balance. It's been retrograde. So it's been an opportunity for us to really dig into that within ourselves, to really understand our own love, our own personal love, our self-love, how we love, and what these ideas of beauty and harmony and love mean to us. So it's been an internal journey as of late, but now it's going direct again. So it's really an opportunity for us to take everything we've learned about our social nature, everything we've learned about our love, and how we want to share that and bring it to the world. And now we activate it. Now we bring it. Now we take what we've learned. Now we take who we are and we shine it out into the world from that place. From that place I was just speaking of, centering ourselves, being present with ourselves, and then bringing that out into the world when these planets go direct again. So here we are. Sage Hakote, thank you for giving me a question. It's always good that you're here. And I love speaking to you about these things because you always have such a beautiful, emotional, and raw and real response to anything esoteric in my experience. Sage, so if I'm a Libra, is it natural during Venus in retrograde to just completely pull back socially? I would say so. I think 100%, so this is your ruling planet. It has a deep impact on your sun sign. Okay. So this is one of the things, oftentimes people in astrology would be like, I'm a Sagittarius, for example, or I'm a Virgo, or I'm this, or I'm that. So as you likely know, what people are talking about is their sun sign, but the sun sign is just one aspect of. There's so much in a natal chart, so many different aspects. It's what where the planets are, what house the planets are in, how they relate to one another. So there's all sorts of energies flying around. Back to Sage's question, she has a sun in Libra, meaning the core essence of who she is, the core being within herself that shines out through that sun and radiates outward, is through Libra, a sign of love, a sign of balance, a sign of harmony. It's very important for her, you, Sage, to feel that sense of balance, to feel that sense of community. Now, when it goes retrograde, absolutely. That essence of you that wants to shine outward wants to shine inward. And that's exactly what I feel. I hesitate to say should. I don't like it when people say should, but it will likely behoove you. I always love that word too. Behoove you to be centered, to be inward, to be calm. And then society and the people around you will likely want things from you and want to pull you out of that, but that's okay. Let them do that. But you know yourself, you know what you need. And if you are feeling drawn to go inward and be there, do that. Nurture yourself. Self-nurturing, it's not a selfish thing. It's something that can really help you, and it's something that can really bring more light into the world when it goes direct again, which is in 2 days. What? Nope, sorry. Tomorrow. So you can get back out there in the world and shine your beautiful bad self that we know you are. Thank you, Sage. Okay. Excellent. Going to look more questions here. Frasia. I can just tell from my intuition, but I don't know exact delineation at the moment. Even better. Even better. Oftentimes, I feel like we rely too much on charts and we put our intuition on the back burner, and it's really beautiful that you trust your intuition, that you feel what's going on. I would be curious though to look at your heart. I would love to see what's going on within that chart, because what I do, and as some of you may know how a chart works, I'll try not to get into too many technical jargon. It just loses people all the time when I do that. But the planets unfold in signs in different houses within the chart. You've seen that chart. It's like a pie chart divided into 12 segments. Those are the houses. The houses represent the different areas of life that energy expresses itself and takes place. The planets representing the archetypes of life, the archetypes that we share all in unison together in life. Love, intellect, emotions, social, partnerships, all of this, and then it reflects through the signs. The signs define how they're going to reflect out into the world. I like to describe it like this: the planets are like the light shining through a colored gel. It's like a stage performance of the drama of life. So the light of the planet shines through the sign, which is like a colored gel, which puts a different hue on that expression into a part of the world, which is a part of the stage that this all unfolds. So, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful dance of life. Sage says, yes. Sage says, okay, because I've been a little concerned. I've been wanting to be around people lately. I get it, you know. Oftentimes, I'm often that way, but I think it's just because I'm a little more introverted than a lot, and I just want to be around animals mainly most of the time. Um, but it's important that we show up for our community and for our people, you know. So after that time of being inward and that time of self-love, you know, when you feel ready, get back out there in the world because we need your light. That's what this is all about. We need to show up and be the light for one another. Question, Nachama Gluk. I'm a Libra rising, Sagittarius moon, Aries sun. Awesome. I don't know what that means. I can help you with that. I do know it feels like a pivotal moment. Any and all insight would be welcome for me to grow and flow into my fullness. And that, Nachama, is what this is all about. Astrology should be used to help us grow and flourish into our fullness. Okay, let's go back here. Aries sun, Aries fire, Sagittarius moon fire, Libra rising air. So likely, I mean, I'd have to see the rest of your chart, but likely, I'm guessing there is a fiery essence to your chart. So what does that mean? Um, in astrology, we use the elements to describe different aspects of being, personality. You know, it also reflects out into the tarot through the four suits. It's all the same thing interwoven, which many of you have heard me talk about this before, the interconnectedness between tarot and astrology. Fire is all about inspiration. It's all about igniting the spark and shining bright and being active. Fire signs are very active, especially the Aries. You know, but again, it's like I just said, it's not so black and white in the sense of, oh, because you're an Aries, you're going to act like this. It doesn't really work that way because of the rising sign, because of the moon, you know, Mercury, all of the planets. They all work together to create the beautiful being that you are. Aries sun, normally Aries are very impulsive in the sense that they are ready to activate. They're going to move forward. They're going to charge in the direction that they choose to charge. And they're likely going to bring other people with them. They're very, you know, they're brave and they're leaders in that sense. But the thing that we need to be mindful about Aries is it's the youngest of the signs. It's the first, right? And so Aries, oftentimes they're impulsive, and we have to check ourselves because we may blaze a path forward, and then there's just a trail of fire and tears along that path that we then have to look at and be like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best way for me to do that. But we learn from that, and likely we surround ourselves with people that help us sort of like put those fires out, and then we grow and we evolve. So that's the sun. Now, here's the other thing, though. The sun works in close association with the rising sign. The rising sign represents the sign that was on the horizon the moment that you were born and started to grow and started to build. And so the sun, again, that core truth of who you are, is now shining through that Libra rising. And it's often what the world sees in the reflection of you. They'll see that Libra. So people likely see a beautiful, balanced, harmonious being. Even inside of you may have that fire and that turmoil. It's going to be balanced out through that Libra rising, which is beautiful. It's beautiful to have that, and the two work together. So you are likely a very motivated person, but I would say probably, although there will be times where it's about yourself and what you need to do, because Aries is very self-motivated, that Libra changes things because they work within communities, they work in partnerships. So there may be an inner struggle with that inside you as well. Again, I'm going deep into this. These are all things that we talk about when we do charts and things like that. And then the moon represents the emotional nature. Sagittarians need to be free. Sagittarians, they need to fly high and not be limited in any way, being ruled by Jupiter. So you likely have an expansive variety of emotions that come through you, emotions that need to be expressed, likely creatively expressed. Again, because two fires there, fire signs are creative. So again, reach out to me if you want to go deeper into this, because the chart will 100% bring you into self-knowledge, self-awareness, to better understand who you are and bring your awesomeness out into the world, which is why I personally want to do charts and share this with people, is so they can live their best truths. Nachama, I hope that helped you. Thank you for giving me a question to work with here. Going on to Kiki D in Arizona. Hi. I don't have any Taurus in my chart. I'm a Leo, Aries, Capricorn with Venus in Virgo. Should I look deeper into Taurus? Does it mean I'm missing its gifts? Absolutely not. You're not missing anything. We have all of the archetypes. We have every single one of these within our being. Now, the way that it comes across in the natal chart is I go and I look at what's on the cusp of each house. There's going to be a house in your chart that has Taurus on the cusp. And it means that Taurus energy has a deep and heavy impact on that particular house. And then I would look and see where the ruling planets are. So in this case, I would look and see where Venus is, what house that's in, which also pulls it there. So you're not missing any of its gifts. It's all there. Thank you. Maddie McMillan, my mom. Hi, Mom. Is retrograde a time to not purchase or do legal work? Okay. It's a good question because this comes up a lot, and you're specifically a couple of things. You're likely referring to Mercury in retrograde because people talk about communication breakdowns. That's the main thing. They talk about communication breakdowns with Mercury in retrograde. Now, if you're talking legal work, that's actually ruled more by Jupiter, which, as I just mentioned, will be going retrograde in a couple of days. I'm not a fan of stopping life depending on what's happening planetarily. I know that might sound odd for an astrologer to say that, but I don't believe, of course, we make wise choices from the information that we learn, but we don't stop. We simply observe and become aware of what's happening. And then I would also go back to what was mentioned about using intuition. Lean into those planets. They're speaking through you right now. Lean into them. If intuitively you feel like, yeah, this is not a time for me to do legal work, this is not a time for me to sign this or that, don't do it. 100% trust that intuition. Trust those planets that are talking through you. So that's my answer. It's kind of a yes and no answer, but it's more, again, using astrology to be aware. Barb Pollard. Hi, Barb. So Leo, Cancer, Virgo. All I want has been to go within, but also fears come up in dreams, and I'm calmly quiet, weird feeling, intuitive with others, and yet makes me feel so uncomfortable sometimes. I just want to be kind to others, but at the same time go within, and that makes them feel like I'm being selfish. Yeah, no, you're not being selfish at all. It's so important that we fill our own cup in order to pour that life-giving fluid for others. Barb, I know you likely care for a lot of different people in your world, and they may be dependent on you in a way. And you likely want to show up for them and be there for them. Yet, you also need to be there for yourself. You also need to make sure you can show up fully when the time comes, because if you feel drained or you feel like you can't do that, it's actually not a service in the long run anyway. So don't feel weird about it. Communicate with clarity, maybe be more honest even with what's going on with you and how you need to take that time, and that you love these wonderful people in your life, and you will be there again soon with them. I know you want to be kind to others, and you are kind to others, and it's not being unkind to bring self-love. So you just hang in there, use your intuition, do what you need to do for yourself, and then you will 100% be able to show up that much more for your friends and your world there. Tammy Moore, why are people so judgmental of others going through a hard time? Interesting. Is if we're not allowed to move through what is, I think it makes people uncomfortable. It makes people uncomfortable to see others having a hard time. It's a deeper philosophical question, really, I think. We have to be allowed to move through what is. And we also can't let people's judgments or people's talking or whatever it may be stop us from being ourselves and being our truth and living our highest self and moving forward into what it is we need to do and where it is we need to go in life. So don't be dismayed by them, Tammy. Just move through what you need to move through. Be where you need to be. Stay in your truth, stay in your strength. Let people judge if they need to judge. It has nothing to do with you. And then move forward. Victoria, I'm a Aries, Sag rising, Moon and Libra. Very interesting. Similar combination of the one that we just read, but with different planets. It used to be, so I'm used to being impulsive and trailblazer. Yeah, Moon helps me balance out 100%. I too have a Moon in Libra. I have a Sag. I have a Sag Sun, Moon in Libra. So I definitely prefer to have calm waters. I like emotional balance. Everybody's happy. Everybody's good. All getting along. That's where I feel good. I'm imagining you feel the same. However, being that Aries trailblazer switches things a little bit. It's very cool to have that Aries and that Sag fire working together. So nice. Definitely stay balanced with that Moon, though. It's important. Katie Gray, my lovely wife, out there gallivanting in the world doing her magic, which we talked about last week, that amazing stuff that she does. Hi, Katie. Question from Bridget Meyer. I'm a Virgo rising. Me too. People give me a hard time for that. But don't you worry, Bridget Meyer. That Virgo rising helps us. I'm a Virgo rising and moon, but sun in Pisces, which is opposite on the wheel. Is that polarity a positive thing? Yes, I think so. Opposites, there's two ways. In aspects, opposites can bring a challenge if two planets are opposing one another. But in these signs, they actually work in harmony. They balance out one another. It's almost like that Libra energy that we talked about. Things are always working in polarities. When it's like a tuned guitar string. When we pluck that string, it's because the 2 points on either end are tightened, or they're tightened, and it brings tension. So there's a creative tension in between those polarities. So yes, it's a positive thing. Absolutely. But let's look at it deeper. Virgo rising and moon, sun, and Pisces. So that I see that so much in you. Again, that's why you're so quick to flow the tears, because that Pisces is a very emotional time, the very intuitive and psychic. Again, yet they're very impressionable by others. The Pisces is easily influenced by the world around them. So that's one thing to be mindful of with that Pisces nature. But that Virgo nature is going to help you with that. That Virgo rising gives you a sense of earth and groundedness to that very watery emotional nature within you. And it's a superpower. It's so cool to have that Virgo in this aspect, because you're able to organize those emotions. You're able to organize and collect those thoughts, collect those feelings, and put them into thoughts, and then use them in a way of service to the world. Virgo is all about service. It rules the sixth house. The sixth house, again, showing up for others to help them. As a humanitarian aspect to that. All positive, but I don't know if I can. I'm Sagittarius, y'all, so I don't know if I can be trusted too much, because I'm always going to throw the positive out there. I'm not going to lean too hard into the negative, but I don't really see, of course there's adversity. Of course there are things that can be difficult, but yeah, we got to, I definitely lean to the positive, because I feel like that's what's going to move forward, and that's what's going to help. But I'm not doing that in this sense, Bridget. That is all good stuff. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for that question. Let's see. Forgive me while I'm looking here at. Okay, Sage says Libra Sun, Aries Moon. That is cool. So that is wild. That's the, again, so those are those fiery emotions, that fiery spirit, right? Like feeling. It's also what brings you that capacity to burn so hot in your feelings and in your emotions. I think that's again, I said that earlier. That's one of the beautiful things about you, and it's I can imagine that's a wild ride in, but gratefully you have that Libra nature, that beauty of Venus powering through. This is all wonderful stuff. I really appreciate the questions. Please keep them coming. Anything astrological, anything about your chart, anything that you've always been wondering about astrology. Let's bring it in and let's talk about it. Let's see if I can find. Oh, that's nice. All you lovely people chatting with one another. Love that. Okay, I got a question here. Kiki D back in Arizona. All right, so let's talk about relationships. This is good. I'm glad you're asking. Could this be one reason why my partners seem to be Taurus men? Again, I would need to look at your chart and see what house Taurus is in, where Venus is located. In astrology, there are a few different ways that relationships are interwoven into the chart. A few different ways that we look at partnerships. We look at Venus, the capacity and the archetype of love and social nature within ourselves. We also look at the houses. Okay, seventh house has to do with partnership. So I would look and see what's going on in your seventh house. I would look and see where Venus is located. I would look and see what house Taurus is on and how that relates to your chart. And then it goes even deeper in the sense of we go into our childhood. We go into conditions that we encountered when we were young that reverberate and reflect out into how we're living that and acting that out now in today's life. I'm sorry, I'm being attacked by a fly. Into the world here and now and then today. So I don't have a great answer for you there, Kiki, on that of why Taurus men keep showing up into your life. I hope it's a good thing, and at least they're ruled by Venus. However, let's talk about Taurus, for example. Taurus being ruled by Venus brings them a sense of creativity and a sense of beauty. There's likely a sense of art and goodness around them. Yet the Taurus can also be very fixed and set in their ways. Sometimes the Taurus has their head down, just trudging forward, doing their thing. They need to be reminded to look up and look around and see the bigger picture and the bigger world around them. Perhaps that's something that you offer them. I'm not sure, but I hope that helps. That helps, Kiki. Yeah. Question and answer of astrology still going. If you have anything to say, again, I'm just repeating myself here. I apologize for that, but let me hit one of these things. Just any questions at all, leave a comment and I'll get to it right now. In the meantime, it's an opportunity for me to tell you, if you go to my website, themusicinthestars.com, you'll find a page on there where I'm beginning a Fundamentals of Astrology course coming up September 21st. We're going to go deep into the signs, deep into the planets, the houses, all the stuff we're talking about right now. We're going to learn that language in a way that you can look at your own chart. You can look at it and tie it all together and synthesize what it all means for you as well as for others. So please, if you are interested in that Fundamentals of Astrology course, go to my website, themusicinthestars.com. Enroll, sign up. It'd be so great to have you. Well, we may be wrapping things up. I'm not having any other questions coming my way. And that is totally okay. It's an honor for me to show up here for you all it's little things, right? It's little things that we can all do to hopefully bring a little more light and a little more inspiration to people in their lives and in their days. And for me, that's what this is all about. That's why I'm doing these sacred Sundays. So again, thank you for taking the time, for being here. Um, I hope it helps you. I just saw another question come up here, and so I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm gonna stick with y'all for a little bit. I got and all kind. Is this a good time to separate from people? Isolate. The word separate seems intense, you know. I think isolate. Both of those can be a sense of cutting off. That's what I get. It. I wouldn't say it's a time to cut yourself off from people. Yet it is a time potentially to withdraw a little bit and bring more time for self-love. So it's not really a time of running away. I'm going to drop a Katie Gray-ism here. This isn't a time to run away from something, but to run towards something. Okay. So it's not a time to push people away, but a time to move towards yourself. There's a difference, so there's not like that essence of cutting people off. There's not that essence of pushing and repulsing, but instead embracing what is happening, embracing yourself. Definitely trust that intuition. If you are feeling the need to pull away and isolate and play the hermit, do it. It's a good thing. It's a great place to be. And like I keep saying, it'll actually enable you to show up even more. So I really hope that helps, Ange. Looking through my questions here. Skeptimistic. Love that name. In your experience, do some people embody or live out their natal chart more than others? Good question. Honestly, in my experience, it's profound, the impact of the natal chart. I wish I could explain scientifically more of why that is, but it never ceases to blow my mind, nor who I'm working with, of how it ties in. Now, here's the thing. Excuse me. There's also life as we evolve and as we grow. So there's the natal chart, which is that snapshot of the moment that you were born. It's an imprint, an energetic imprint that definitely stays with you throughout your life. However, there's certain lessons and certain things that you evolve and work through as life unfolds that we could see in the chart, different lessons in life that the chart is asking you to look at in order for you to evolve your being during this time. And then there's what's known as the progress chart, which actually shows where you are more so right now in your life, astrologically speaking, after moving through those. So I don't know if I would say more than others. I see it reflected in every chart that I do. And again, it's really an amazing thing to witness. Barb Pollard. Let's get to it, Barb. I like that. Can you see death in a chart? Or is that a myth? That's a fascinating question. Me personally, I've not seen it. I haven't deeply looked for it, which is interesting because I might now. I might review that. Here's what I would say, that I would, through certain transits, I would get a red flag or something to be careful. Let's say Mars or Pluto, Mars being very intense, being, rules. It's like the Tower card, Pluto, ruler of the underworld and death, eighth house. So say those are moving through the eighth house in somebody's chart, perhaps aspecting the sun in some way. Then I'd be like, let's be mindful of what actions we're taking in life right now, because there is an underworld-like presence that could be coming your way. But it's getting into tricky territory. It's getting into tricky territory at that time because, again, as I said earlier, I don't like to say people should do this or should do that. Again, it's just being mindful of it. I don't want to freak anyone out through astrology either, but things like that definitely do come up. And as an astrologer, I will say I need to be creatively wise in how I word things, create as things come up, because again, I don't want to use this as something that scares people or pushes people away, but rather brings people in and inspires them to look at their own lives and live their lives in a better way. So there's, Barb, there's another answer, non-answer for you. Tammy Moore, what recommendations do you have for Scorpio with 5 planets and Sun conjunct in Scorpio? Leo moon, Sun rising. First off, I would say that is powerful. I would need to see, a lot would be like what houses these planets are. 5 planets and Sun conjunct in Scorpio. Yeah, that brings a lot of Scorpio energy, which to me is shamanic, honestly. Oftentimes people fear too much Scorpio, and I think it's amazing because what it does is it gives you a superpower to go deep, to penetrate the depths and not step away from it, but rather go into it and look at it. Go into the psyche, go into those dark, hidden, cavernous places that most people don't want to look at because they're afraid. Scorpios often don't fear that. They're not afraid of the mortality. They, in a way, they thrive in it. And so they have the capacity, again, to do that shamanic work. They can go into the underworld, fix what needs to be fixed, transmute what needs to be transmuted, and come back out. That's what I would, recommend for somebody with this particular alignment. Again, though, I would need to see what houses we're talking about, like, and what's going on there. So that's a brief thing, Tammy. I guess what I'm saying is don't fear it. Lean into it. Use it as a superpower. Use that fear, transmute that fear, if there is any, into bravery, and then go in and you'll be able to bring out jewels for people. 100% you'll be able to bring out jewels. Victoria, is it okay to set boundaries? Always good. It's okay to set boundaries. Always a good idea to protect yourself. You need to. 100%. I believe she's referring to likely what we were just talking about with Barb up there. Mom says the almanac goes by the planets. We always planted the garden by that. Truth. This is like age-old knowledge. Can you see parts of the body affected in your charts? Yes. You absolutely can, and which mainly goes into the 6th house. The 6th house has to do with our health, which brings, Virgo rules the 6th house, has to do with our health. So anywhere we see Virgo in there, when we see 6th house stuff, as well as when we go into the 1st house, which has to do with our physical body and appearance as well. So there are all sorts of areas that lean into the physical body, and also different areas where it could be a challenge or where it could be super empowered. So yes, 100%. And talking about the almanac and gardening and astrology, any of you out there, dip into the mysticism and the amazing work of Rudolf Steiner and his biodynamic gardening, because it is incredible. It takes the almanac a step deeper into full mysticism and magic and astrology with gardening. And I don't know if any of you out there have ever eaten food from biodynamic gardens, but you cannot deny the power of it. Rudolf Steiner, who, he's incredible. So look up his work. Kiki, back. Kiki, thanks for being so participatory in my talk here. I follow Western astrology. Is Vedic astrology an impact, or is it best to follow the part of the world you're born in? Again, I'm going with intuition here. I'm going with what you feel drawn to. I work with Western astrology. I feel more connected with that for myself. However, Vedic astrology is mind-blowing. You see people that are, immersed and well-versed in that, and it's incredible. The two will likely lead you to the same place. And I feel like it's whatever you're drawn to, whatever you feel reflects the language for you. So yeah, you go for it. It's so funny, as I speak and see myself in the camera, I see these wounds on my head, and don't worry, I'm okay. We have these trees here called a wasache, and so I tangled with a wasache tree yesterday, but I'm okay. So It's just funny to see myself all clawed up here. Um, Thank you, everyone. I really loved the question and answer. Again, for me, I think because of my Libra moon, I like partnerships. I work well with balancing things off of one another. And for me to do that with you as a community is really wonderful for me. So thank you for that. Thank you for showing up again, taking time out of your day to discuss this with me. And I hope it helps you. I hope it inspires you. All sorts of more videos coming for my YouTube channel that talking about astrology. Also, as I said, the course is coming up. Don't hesitate. Again, this is even if you know a lot about astrology, let's jump in, put that white belt on again. Let's go into the basics, and then for those of you who want to begin, this is a great spot to begin. We're going to learn the language of astrology together. I'm going to send out all sorts of material for you. And then we're going to meet up each week and much like this, talk about things, go over charts, go over various things. I'm going to answer one more question here from Tammy, who says, can you speak to no matter what sign a person is, we all have the signs in us? Exactly. That's what I'm talking about, is that every single house, the cusp, the beginning point of every single house has a sign on it. Now, sometimes there's what there's called intercepted. Sometimes another sign will be captured within that house. But every single sign plays out in some area of your life, no matter if your planets are in that sign or not. And the way that we tie it all together is when I go through your chart and say I hit, Aries. Let's say I hit Aries on the 5th house. So that tells me a lot about your creative nature. 5th house is all about creativity, about expressing joy and expressing your life in a way that brings inspiration, in a way that brings pleasure. So if Aries is on that cusp, automatically to me, it brings an essence of fire, an essence of inspiration, likely a very creative person because of that fire. But then I would go and I would see where Mars is, because Mars is ruled by Aries. So wherever Mars is in the chart, it's going to tie in Mars to the 5th house. So whatever house it's in, it's going to tie it to the 5th house. And so I go deeper, and it's just the spiral deeper into the essence of your being through the astrological language. So speaking to Tammy's question, no matter what sign you are, or what sign the planets you have are in, every single sign, all of the 12 signs will play out and will be expressed within you, expressed within who you are. So a lot of times people see their chart and they're like, man, I got nothing. I got all my planets up here and there's nothing happening over here. It does not at all mean you are not balanced in a way. There will be areas that we need to look at to potentially balance certain parts of yourself out, but they all play out. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to watch it unfold. Love it. Just go on and on for sure. But I'm going to end it right there. And I'm going to end it with another poem. Into poetry today. So I started with a poem by Mary Oliver. I'm going to end with a poem by Drew Dellinger. It's from a book of his or hers. It's called Hieroglyphic Stairway. And I love this poem. It's powerful. But it relates to what somebody said early on in the conversation. How can I activate my true self? How can I activate my true potential, my highest power? And by doing so, how can I show up is what I hear. How can I show up in the world by doing so? And so this poem, it's called What Did You Do? It's 3:23 in the morning and I'm awake because my great-grandchildren won't let me sleep. My great-great-grandchildren ask me in my dreams, what did you do while the planet was being plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the seasons started failing. as the mammals, reptiles, birds were all dying? Did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do once you knew? It's powerful. What did you do once you knew? I hope you're all inspired to do your truth and be your truth and live that. Once the planets go out of retrograde, maybe more, you go ahead and be, it's okay. But when it becomes time to do your passion. Do yourself, live your truth. Don't worry about the judgments. We need you. We need you to show up. There's a lot going on, and we need your truth in your light. Thank you, everyone, for being here with me. Next Sunday, I'll be back. Hopefully, I'll have a guest. I enjoy having guests, but if not, we'll be together. We'll ask questions, and we'll have this conversation, much like this again. I wish you all a beautiful, sacred Sunday. And once again, thank you for taking the time to be with me. And I hope it resonates and reverberates out into your day, into your week. And if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And sending you all so much love. Thank you.